Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to another episode of The Spread. I'm your host, Jim Sella, in studio with Jay Dash. More baseball talk for you this week. It is September 2nd right now. Yesterday was the first day for September call-ups. Baseball teams can expand their rosters to 40. Is that correct? 40?
Yes, they can if they want. If they don't want to,
Oh, yeah. I guess they don't have to, huh?
No.
Does any team ever not?
Well, yeah, the Bucks this season, they're not going the whole way to 40 right now.
That's just because they don't have 40 players good enough.
No, they actually, listen, man, they didn't call up some players that we definitely expected them to call up. In fact, I'm a little surprised at what they called up here. First, Bobby Love from Boyce. We seen him earlier this season. Nothing special. This just gives the Bucks a third lefty out of the bullpen. That's pretty much all it is. Now, he's not a great pitcher or anything. And then there's Pedro Florimon.
Pedro Pokemon.
We remember him. He had the big winning hit not long ago against the D-backs that it was a walk-off triple. Not many people hit walk-off triples.
D-bags.
But he was actually DFA'd the following day. And really, otherwise, he does nothing with the bat. I think he has 2 hits and 31 at-bats or something. He's not good with the bat.
So he's like Sean Rodriguez at the plate.
He's a very good defender, too, so he's similar to Sean Rodriguez. Actually, Rodriguez, I think, is a little bit better of a hitter, and he's more versatile as well. Pedro Florimon, though, is a good defensive shortstop, and that's really why they brought him up, just for a pinch runner. I mean, he has some speed, so they can use him as a pinch runner. And then as a defensive replacement. So nothing special there either. Jeff Thacker, nothing special here. We seen this guy earlier this year. He's going to be nothing more than a left-handed bench bat. And then there's 3 names here that I kind of do like. First, Travis Snyder. Now, he hit just .237 with 3 home runs and 20 RBI in 69 games with Baltimore.
Garbage.
But look, he was hitting .269 with a .340 on base through his first 175 at-bats with Baltimore, and then he went on a cold streak, just 3 for 36 in July and 1 game in August before being DFA'd by Baltimore. But really, over the first 175 at-bats, that wasn't too bad. But really, he's going to be nothing more than a left-handed bench bat as well for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I don't see him getting major playing time. But in 2014 with Pittsburgh, he hit .264 with a .338 on base and 13 jacks and 322 at-bats. So not a bad season last year for him. And if you look down the stretch, you remember Polanco struggled real bad, and Travis Snyder was actually a starter down the stretch and really helped us get to the playoffs. Because you look, man, in July, he wasn't a full-time starter at this point, but he hit .393 with a .452 on base, had 3 jacks in just 28 at-bats, and then he became the full-time player. Hit .274 with a .315 and 3 home runs in August, and .273 with a .377 on base and 3 home runs in September. So he was very good down the stretch last season, and if he could give us what he did last September in this September, obviously not in 66 at-bats. I don't see him getting that many at-bats. But, I mean, he was a good piece for them last year, and it's nice just to have him on the bench, I believe.
All I could do is see his red face the whole time you were saying all that stuff.
Well, listen, man, the Pirates like this guy, too.
I know.
As a guy, not just a baseball player. I mean, they actually like this guy. And he's kind of a leader, not necessarily a traditional leader, but he's liked a lot in the clubhouse. So I have no problem with having Travis Snyder on the bench. And then Rodimus Lees. This is a guy I was talking about. I wanted them to call up and put in this rotation, see if he can outpitch Jeff Locke until Burnett comes back. We still have to see what happens with Burnett.
Apparently Hurdle didn't listen to the spread because they didn't put Locke in.
Yeah,
and Cole got lit up against Milwaukee.
There it is. You should have pitched Locke, Vance Worley, and Rodimus Lees in his Brewers series.
Yeah,
they couldn't have pitched any worse than Garrett Cole.
I know.
And now look, Garrett Cole is going to pitch in St. Louis because they moved him up in this rotation, so he would pitch in St. Louis. But the rotation isn't perfect going into St. Louis now. I had Cole, Liriano, and Happ pitching in St. Louis. It's not going to go down like that now. But look, they're not even calling up Lees to pitch in this rotation. I believe they are keeping Jeff Locke in this rotation for the remainder of the season. That's what it sounds like. I mean, Lees, Huntington noted that any pitcher that would be called up at the September call-ups would be used exclusively in middle relief. And this is a surprise to me. I mean, they didn't call up Vance Worley, And they called up Rodimus Lees to pitch out of the bullpen in middle relief. And that's really a surprise to me because, I mean, not a Jeff Locke hater by any means. I think he can pitch well at the back end of a rotation. But I also believe that you can always upgrade, and there's no reason not to try to upgrade this pitcher right now because you don't even know if Burnett's going to come back. You might need another starter for the playoffs, and you got to look for it. You can't just let it play out like it is when you have options that could be better than Jeff Locke. I mean, look at this. He had a 1.40 ERA in AAA, mostly as a starter. Now, we know he pitched in the bigs earlier this season in relief, and he wasn't great by any means, but he also wasn't completely horrible. But he looked like a beast as a starter in the minors, and they're just using him in relief. That's kind of surprising to me. But the biggest move, I think that the one they called up that I like the most is Elias Diaz. He has yet to make his MLB debut, and Huntington actually suggested his role would be nothing more than an emergency catcher. So he might not see much playing time, but I would like to see him in there a little bit because this is one of the Pirates' better prospects. He's just 24 years old through the rest of this season, and I'm sure you've seen this before, Jim. He's from Venezuela. We love those Venezuela prospects around here.
Love it, dude. That's amore.
But look, in 2013, in they advanced, he hit 279 with a 382 on base, 2 jacks, 12 doubles, 2 triples, had 15 RBIs and 30 runs, and he also had 31 walks compared to 33 Ks and 183 at-bats. Mind you, this is a catcher, too. Catchers aren't always beasts at the plate. Those are pretty good numbers out of a catcher. 2014 in Double-A, even better, hitting 328 with a 378 on base, had 6 home runs, 21 doubles, 54 RBIs, 41 runs, and had 30 walks compared to 51 Ks and 326 at-bats. So he improved his strikeout rate in 2014 as well, and he did the same in 2015. Look at this. 29 walks compared to 47 Ks and 325 at-bats. So this guy's plate discipline is getting better. He has a little bit of pop, sort of like Francisco Cervelli. 4 home runs in those 325 at-bats. But look, he has 16 doubles, 4 triples, and he's hitting 271 in AAA this year with a 330 on base. This guy is a pretty good prospect, and really, before they brought in Cervelli, I thought this was the guy that was going to gap Russell Martin and Reese McGuire, but maybe he's the guy that gaps Cervelli and Reese McGuire. Who knows? But I really have high hopes for this guy, and I'd like to see him get some game action here down the stretch.
Does he have hair like Piazza or a mustache like Piazza? Because if he doesn't, I'm done with him already.
No, he does not. But listen, he's a good defensive catcher, too. They think he is definitely already above average defensively.
Have a mustache to
they
be a
said,
catcher.
I mean, you've seen Tony Sanchez. I know you hate him, especially defensively. He's terrible. Now, with the bat, he's okay, but everyone believes Elias Diaz is better both defensively, which isn't hard, and offensively, which is a little bit better of an accomplishment.
I don't want nothing to do with Ellie and Gonzalez. I mean, Elias Diaz. They must be related.
Elian Gonzalez and Elias Diaz must be related.
Believe it.
Makes no sense.
Both came over on a
But I mean,
raft.
that's what they called up, those 6 players, so it was a little surprising.
Did you hear about the Dodgers? Sorry to interrupt you, but did you hear about the guy who's been sleeping outside Dodger Stadium trying to get a tryout with the team?
No.
He's a Cuban. He's not a prospect on anybody's list or anything, but he swears he's good enough to play in the majors. And he, like, for 17 straight days, I read the article probably 2 or 3 days ago, he had been sleeping outside of the freaking stadium trying to get a tryout. And he actually tried to get into the stadium a couple times. That's a September call-up.
I mean, give him a shot. If he thinks he's good enough, give him a shot. But, dude, it's the wrong time to do that. You know, wait till spring training next season. I don't think they want to sign you.
At least he's doing it in L.A. and not freaking somewhere up north like Minnesota. Idiot.
But some notable names left out here, man. Vance Worley. Now, he's not even on the 40-man roster right now.
Yeah.
And
Dub, man. He's way better than Jeff Locke.
And what I mean by not on the 40-man roster, I don't mean he's not up in the bigs. There is always a 40-man roster. Even when you have a 25-man roster, there is a set 40-man roster as well. And after they DFA'd him, he never was put back on the 40-man roster. So they'd have to put him on the 40-man and take someone else off if they wanted to call him up. But yeah, I agree. I'd give him a shot to see if he can outpitch Locke for the rest of this season. I mean, chances are they're not going to pitch in the playoffs anyways, but who knows? If Burnett doesn't come back, somebody could outpitch Morton as well. It's not like Morton is a definite beast or anything. So I'd give these guys a shot in the rotation. And let's not forget, I mean, they could still get called up. It's not like you can't call these guys up now. They could still get called up at some point. Indianapolis's season hasn't ended yet, and they're in first place and heading to the playoffs. So maybe they want to wait until the playoffs end with Indy, and then they'll call some of these guys up.
Does any of their pay structure change if they come up? I know, like, we talked about with Glass now, we would still lose the eligibility, but, like...
Allen Hansen, too, Willie Garcia.
In hockey, you can get a two-way contract where if you play in the minors, you get paid this. If you play in the NHL, you get paid that.
I believe it's
Is
the
it the
same
way?
in the big leagues, yes. But John Holtzcomb, he's another guy, and he is on the 40-man roster. This is a guy we came into the season talking about, saying he had some upside, and he hasn't got his chance yet this season, and it doesn't look like he's going to, as of right now at least. But look, I mean, in AAA this season, he has a 3.22 ERA in 24 1/3 innings pitched. Mind you, he was hurt for a little while. He has 27 Ks. Now, his problem is 17 walks in 24.1 innings, but he is 6'9", 245 pounds. It's hard to have control at 6'9", especially as a reliever. But look, he allowed just 16 hits, too. This guy's hard to hit, and he strikes out a lot of people. I don't see why you don't just put him in the bullpen in case of emergency.
The good news for Holtzcomb is the Steelers cut Cameron Clear, their tight end, so they need a little bit of tight end depth.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't get called up anytime soon, he can just go play it for the Steelers.
6'9", 245 is actually pretty skinny, I believe, though.
Yeah, that's all right. Alejandro Villanueva put on 100 pounds since last season. Literally 100 pounds. He had to have been doing steroids.
All right, Allen Hansen. How about this guy? He is actually on the 40-man roster, but they did not call him up.
I almost want to call him Alex.
No, not Alex Hansen.
Can we just change his name to Alex?
You're
I'm
dead
going to
wrong.
write to him and see if he will.
But look, in his minor league career, he has a 285 average and a 345 on base. Now, in 2015 here, you remember we did our prospect check, and he was hitting pretty well. Now he's only hitting 269 with a 321 on base. So after his injury, he hasn't really been hitting very well. 6 home runs, 17 doubles, 12 triples, 43 RBIs, 65 runs, 35 stolen bases, and he has 37 walks compared to 87 Ks and 454 bats. So you can see there's some good numbers in there. He's just struggling right now. So I kind of see why they didn't call him up.
We have so much depth in the infield right now, too. He needs to get playing time to start getting out of that funk, you know, and he wouldn't have got it in the majors.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Look, he's hitting 238 over his last 10 games, so he's not going to come up and be a beast immediately. He's obviously struggling in AAA. But look, he still has huge upside. He has 64 triples and 169 stolen bases in 604 career games in the minors. And he's only 22 years old still, so there's no reason to rush him up. If he was hitting well, maybe I'd have a different opinion on the situation. But seeing as he's not hitting very well, they have so much depth in the bigs right now, there's really no reason to call him up at this point. And like I said, I do like him as some speed on the bench if you want to use him as a pinch runner, but they also called up Pedro Florimon, and speed is speed. It's not like Allen Hansen's speed is somehow more special just being on the bench. I mean, I'd rather see this guy be in the minor leagues and playing every day. And let's not forget, like I said, they're heading to the playoffs, so I'm sure he's one of the bigger parts of their team heading to the playoffs as well. And then another guy, Willie Garcia. He is also on the 40-man roster.
Who's he supposed to be? Jerry Garcia's brother?
You're dead wrong. This guy's actually pretty good, though, man. He's one of my favorite Pirate prospects. In 2015, this season in Double-A, he hit .314 with a .353 on base, had 5 home runs and 204 bats. He doesn't take many walks, just 11 walks compared to 47 Ks. But look, in Triple-A, he isn't hitting as well, just .254 with a .290 on base, but he has 10 home runs and 256 at bats. Still, not walking a lot and K and too much in AAA. So really, he's only hitting 143 over his last 10 games. Another good call not to call him up, and you're probably not going to play him a lot, and he's not going to give you much right now. But this is one of the Pirates' better prospects, in my opinion. He's going to be good at some point, just not this season, and I don't see him making an appearance with the team, even though he is on the 40-man roster right now.
Jerry Garcia in a pouch, man.
But like you were saying with depth, man, they have at catcher Cervelli and Stewart. First base, they have Pedro, Morse, and Sean Rodriguez. At second base, they have Neil Walker.
And
of
Harrison
course,
if they need
I
him,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, they could play Harrison, they could play Gung if they really wanted, Mercer if they really wanted. I mean, there's options. But third base, Harrison and Aramis Ramirez. Shortstop, Gung and Mercer. Outfield, they just have the three big-time outfielders, although they did call up Travis Snyder. But you look, before these September call-ups, that's 13 position players there that were on the 25-man roster, 10 of which can be considered starters, and possibly 11 if you consider Morse. Now, I know Pirate fans don't consider Michael Morse a starter, but this guy has been a starter his whole career.
I was higher on him when he first came here. He struggled a little bit.
Actually, man, he's hitting around 300 with the Pirates. He's just not showing that power. I mean, that's where it's coming from. It looks like he's struggling because he's not driving in a lot of runs and he's not hitting the ball over the fence like he's supposed to do. But his batting average is up there, and it looks pretty good. And then there's also Stewart and Rodriguez. So there's 11 people you could consider starters, and then those two. But then they called up Florimon, Decker, Snyder, and Diaz. So there's a lot of options here on the offense, and that's pretty much why they didn't call up some of these other guys like Alan Hansen, outside of the fact that he's struggling as well. There's just no room for these guys right now. And Harton Ishikawa could return from the DL at some point too, and they would be on the 40-man roster immediately, so they could just put them on the bench as well. And then starters,
Where they belong.
Starting pitchers, Cole, Liriano, Happ, Morton, and Locke right now are the top 5. Burnett could return soon. That would be a 6th starting pitcher.
You give him a 50-50 shot at being good again?
Yeah, I don't see why not, man. He's not going to be an ace, I don't believe. I mean, I don't even think he was an ace when he was pitching like an ace. You know what I mean? He was just having a great beginning of the season, and a lot of people knew a regression was coming from him, but I don't see any reason why he can't come back and pitch somewhat well for the Pirates. He just has to be healthy. We'll have to see if he's healthy or not. But outside of that, I mean, I thought they were going to call Blees and Worley and give them a shot in this rotation, but it looks like it's just going to round out like that. And at best case scenario, if they leave it like that, it would be Morton as your 5th starter. Although, I mean, in the playoffs it wouldn't be. And Burnett has to come back healthy and pitch well for that to happen. And then relief pitching, they did call up LaFramboise and Lees to pitch out of the bullpen to help them. I mean, they have Melanson, Watson, Soria, Hughes, Blanton, and even Caminero and Bastardo have been pitching well recently. Actually, Jared Hughes has been the one struggling the most in this bullpen right now. He actually got hit around the past few times he was out there. So hopefully they can give him a rest, maybe pitch Lees, give Hughes a rest for a week or something, get him to come back strong. But, I mean, there's no problems with his bullpen here. But the September call-ups, not as exciting as I hope they would be. Although I kind of seen the Alan Hansen call-up not coming, because I said it before. We wanted Hansen to come up before the deadline, not before the deadline, in September, but we were talking about it before the deadline. And then they made all those deadline moves and just strengthened this bench so much that really it lost room for Alan Hansen on the bench.
Yeah, he'd have to sit on the ground in the dugout.
Well, I didn't mean it like that, but yes.
That's all we got.
I just want to see Elias Diaz get some playing time. I know he's not going to get much. I mean, you still got to go out there and put your best lineup out there. But I do want to see him get a pinch hit here and there, and maybe a couple innings at the end of a game at catcher or something if you're up big or down big.
What kind of chance you give the Pirates to catch the Cardinals?
I mean, I'll let you know after this Cardinal series. They got to go in and take 2 or 3 from the Cardinals, or else, I mean, it's pretty much over. We're at that point of the season where we're getting to the point where you got to start gaining some games soon. And
Pirates went 19-9 in August. Cardinals went 19-8. Or no, the other way around. Pirates went 19-8. Cardinals went 19-9. I think they
That's
gained
it, man.
one half game.
We're gonna do an extra basis segment here, not today, but I was gonna have it done for today, but then you told me you wanted to be done by 4, so I didn't want to.
Easy's birthday today.
Yeah, please believe. So we'll probably do that Friday or sometime soon. But we're going to just talk about how the Cardinals keep winning somehow. I mean, they've had so many injuries this year, it's ridiculous. And it really hasn't fazed them that much. I mean, they did cool off from the beginning of the season. There's no doubt about that. But they're still on pace for 105 wins. The Pirates are on pace for, 99 or something?
I think so, yeah.
And it'll still be 6 games back.
Brutal. Well, that's all we got for you today, folks. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Dash, for coming in. Fans, you can follow us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. You can follow me on Twitter at betjimthewin. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. Keep coming back to YouTube. We're going to be on some new platforms soon, so keep a lookout.